I'm working on an online course on building natural immunity with Ayurveda. It'll appear on podia.com very soon. There are 8 videos in the first batch, and I have completed 5 of those 8. The other 3 are about half done. So subscribe so you'll know when they're coming up. Until the course is launched, here's some things you can do to remain virus-free. I was not inoculated when I got COVID. I wore a mask when I went into Walmart. I was still researching whether or not it would invade DNA. And the day that I found out that it does not invade DNA, I got a phone call from the nurse who told me that I tested positive for COVID. And it takes about 6 months to get over it. I'm about 4 months into it now. I would have died if I had not had Ayurveda and the herbs that go with it. I had extreme fatigue, headaches, dizziness. Luckily, I didn't have any attack on my respiratory system. None of what I'm about to tell you is conjecture. It comes from the scientists, the virologists who are giving us advice and warnings. So here are some life-saving rules. The most dangerous places to get COVID are basically anywhere there are people. But restaurants, indoors especially, are at the top of the list. Other hot spots are shopping for food, bars, if you must go to bars, sports games, music concerts, or even perhaps, surprisingly, walking in parks and on trails outside. That's where there are very few people. Here's how vaccines and masks protect you. Let's say you meet a COVID carrier today. Actually, this would exclude the vaccine. This is just masks only. You meet a COVID carrier today. He might not have symptoms, but he might still be a carrier. He might be vaccinated and still be a carrier. So we're talking about just a carrier of any kind. Here are the possible problems, and he can be infected and not know it, having no symptoms. He's not wearing a mask, but you are. In this case, the possibility that you will get infected is probably 70%. If that carrier wears a mask but you are not, the possibility that you will get infected is 5%. If that COVID carrier is wearing a mask and you are wearing a mask, the possibility that you will get infected is 1.5%. So it's a good idea, if you must go out of the house during this pandemic, to stay away from anyone who is not wearing a mask, because they don't know how to read. Everyone has heard the science. Science is facts. Science means truth. If they don't care if they infect you with a deadly disease, they're not merely misinformed and innocent. They are angry, and they are violent, and they are the enemy. Walmart is just about the only place I go just to get food. In the organic section, of course. And I do my best. I wear my mask. But most of the people who shop there don't. And I don't know if it's still a policy, but for a while, the employees were not forced to wear a mask. So someone there who's part of the rage problem gave me COVID. And the day that I discovered that the vaccine does not invade DNA is the day I got the news from the nurse that I was tested positive. I don't go near them. I don't talk to them. And their consciousness alone can harm you. The Vedic axiom is, keep the company of the wise. George Bernard Shaw said, never wrestle with a pig. You only get dirty and the pig enjoys it. Now this is in relation to trying to convince them to put their mask on. Notice that even if you have these two layers of protection, the mask you're wearing and the mask he's wearing, there's still a 1.5% chance of becoming infected. And the vaccines give us only 88% immunity. This means two things. First, stay home. And secondly, build up your natural immunity. In India, there's no tradition of shaking hands that goes back to the Vedic Golden Age. Since their ancient Vedic civilization began, they've greeted each other by folding their hands as if in prayer. It shows reverence to the other person. This is called pranam. Historians say the practice started when epidemics came, but the truth is, when we touch another person, especially a person we don't even know, as in shaking hands, we take on their karma. Eating with them brings the same problem. Just go by the CDC guidelines and keep your distance. After vaccination, wearing a mask is still important. You can still be a carrier. The adamants from the brain dead who want their freedom is that viruses can penetrate cloth. That's what they say. So a mask is useless. It's merely a way to control us, they say, and therefore, to them, any enforcement of a mask rule is a cause for violence, whether verbal, as in shouting and threats, or physical violence. But viruses are encapsulated in a water droplet when they exit the lungs and nasal passages. And the mask can prevent those water droplets from penetrating the cloth. That's why masks work. And being passed to others and contaminating others. So masks do work. Wear a mask. It labels you with a badge to show your level of intelligence and your level of compassion for others. Those who are angry about being told what to do are violent people and must be avoided. Even if you never interact with them, it should be a crime not to wear a mask, because that person can possibly infect everyone around them. The anti-maskers are now attacking others physically. and even ripping off the masks from the faces of those who wear them. One person beat up a door greeter at Walmart because he asked the man to put on a mask. These are violent people, and their impending disappearance from the earth because of their low consciousness and rage is part of a filtering process of Mother Nature to prepare us for the coming of Satyug, the Golden Age. We have laws for a reason, to protect others from their aggression. That person may feel stop signs take away their freedom. But your freedom to run through an intersection without stopping, that freedom ends where mine begins. And that's why we have laws. In this pandemic, my freedom is my decision to stay alive. Their freedom is their decision to kill anyone they like. All because they don't trust science, which means truth, and don't trust their government, who they think is trying to depopulate the nation. A government which is giving away free vaccines to save lives, when the anti-vaxxers think the government is plotting to kill us all. But viruses cannot target anyone or any political party. The Democrats aren't going to cook up a scheme to infect only the Republicans. But viruses can't discriminate. Any plot by government leadership to spread a virus would endanger themselves, the plotters, and their families, and their friends, and their whole political party. This is the rise of insanity on our planet, that people would think such things. And it's the great separator of the wheat from the chaff prophesied by their Bible that's worshipped by these anti-vaxxers. This is the great separation in the end times. And it's the last battle that they preach about. Speaking of which, long ago, Maharshi was holding a course with about 500 people. And someone asked him, when will Satyug come, the Golden Age? And Maharshi said, right after the last battle. The person asked, what is the last battle? And Maharshi said, it will be a battle against pharmaceuticals. He predicted all this back when he said, in the last days of Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, diseases will travel through the air. And now that battle is here. And he added that 1 out of 8 will survive. Only the righteous shall survive. The distortion of Maharshi's prophecy really shouldn't be surprising. But the anti-vaxxers are saying, see, Maharshi warned us about genetically modified foods. And now the pharmaceutical companies have come to alter our DNA with vaccines. No. Let's see what Maharshi really did say about the final battle over vaccines. And that's in part 2 on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Rick Vade, Patreon.